Hi, am I
Hi, how are
audible?
you? Yeah, you're audible.
Okay.
Okay, great. So good to have you today. Welcome to our today's session, Sandeep. And I would like to introduce our viewers, architect Sandeep Nagpal from Alchemy Design Studio from Mumbai. And Sandeep has a decade of experience in working with very reputed firms like Reza Kabul as well as Perkins Eastman. And he's opened up a boutique firm wherein he does a lot of work with respect to, I would say, collaboration with technology as well as sustainable buildings in terms of upcycling and beyond, and also research and hands-on approach. So it's good to have you with us today, Sandeep. And I'm sure you're aware of our today's session, which is designing green fenestrations for a sustainable future.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to introduce yourself further to our viewers, please go ahead.
I'd just like to say that since I've been connected to all three facets of the industry, which is architecture, interior design, sustainability, and construction. Actually, construction is the fourth aspect. My intent is to someday bring all of this together and make sure that whatever's you know whatever research is going on in these isolated pockets, it all comes together and it benefits the larger audience. And the impact also magnifies. When all of it comes together is when you really see the benefits.
So here we're talking about sustainability,
Yes,
design, and construction.
correct.
Okay, great. So I think you have enough experience, and as well as we have been in the industry for over 15 years, and we all know that sustainability was always the right thing, but these days it's the in thing, and it's now that probably everyone is realizing that this needs to be made the priority. So let's move ahead with our first question. So how would you describe green fenestration systems?
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Yeah, I'm saying that let's begin with our first question. How would you describe green fenestration systems?
Uh, for me, green fenestration systems are something that will not only respond to their immediate climatic context, but they must go one step further. They must really use that context to their advantage. Just to give you an example, if there are windows which block the light out, they block the sun's rays and the heat. That's one thing. But if they go one step further and they start harnessing this energy to help the circular economy or to help lower energy consumption, that's when it's a true green fenestration system, in my opinion.
Okay, so any ideas with respect to that? I mean, all I can think of is that many high-rise buildings, when I would say facade systems are installed, lately the embedding of solar cells or panels in the glass area with the conduiting happening through the mullions and the transoms has already, started internationally. I cannot figure out an Indian project which I am aware of wherein they use this in a very, I would say, aggressive manner. But that's the thing that I'm looking at. Why? Because there, what you get is, again, what the conventional glazing is doing. I would say
Mhm.
noise reduction, I would say heat insulation, or let's say transmittance level reduction, etc., etc. So this becomes something which is an addition to, I think, what you are saying, wherein it gets used in even generation of electricity, probably. So is that one of the
Absolutely.
ideas that fits in your thought?
Totally, totally. I was going to elaborate on the same thing. Uh,
Hmm.
Also, another aspect to this is uh, if it is clubbed with a second skin or a shading facade. Basically, there are two
Right.
layers to the facade.
Right.
Or if there is a green wall that is interspersed with the fenestration. Again, they work in tandem and they start doing more than what one of them can individually do. So
Correct.
imagine if you have solar cells on the glass pane, then you have some green wall right next to it, which is absorbing carbon dioxide. and it all of it just adds up, and uh, people might have more of an incentive to take it up. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they may not really feel the change as much.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, I have two observations here. The first observation is that when you have a solar cell on the
Mhm.
glass, it hinders your view because we don't have transparent solar cells as yet. So all you can use it
Right.
is in a very, very well architecturally designed fenestration, or let's say a window system or a facade, wherein the solar cell panels become a part of the elevation, at the same time not affecting the view of the, I would say, the inhabitant. That's one. Because I have always come across many I would say consultants wherein the obstruction of the vision that the solar cells actually I mean, it acts as a hindrance for its own usage. So in high-rise
Hmm.
buildings where you have, I would say, the spandrel locations where you have a glass in front of the slabs, or let's say a dead wall, there probably
Hmm.
in any which ways you have to shield it. You cannot have a transparent glass. But in
Right.
residences, obviously, it becomes a problem until you plan to give some dummy windows. Again, I mean, which normally happens in a lot of classical houses, wherein there are a lot of dummy windows because they want to show a synchronity of, I would say, the windows in the project, or let's say in the elevation. So there it is possible, but then that is also not sufficient for kind of creating or generating that much of electricity that would be probably substantial enough. So that's number one. And the second thing I've seen is that, let's take an example. Yes, we have a facade which has solar cells. We have, I would say, also the green walls. Now, what I see is that most of the customers that you deal with are, obviously, for them, it's not a very familiar territory. For them,
Hmm.
when they will look at a green wall, they will look at it from more of an aesthetics and freshness point of view. They wouldn't
That's right.
know, I mean, us telling them would be in a way reminding them that, plants absorb carbon dioxide and they give out oxygen. So it's a reminder for them. They're not coming prepared. Okay, how can I use that? So they would not have any values with them, which makes them totally, take a decision, or let's say a call on the budget if it allows. So it's not a decision based on an evaluation or a comparative in front of them. So probably that's also one of the things that is lacking, which if given to a customer, he may be ready, better, we can convince him better to use things in tandem the way you are saying of combining these things probably. So what do you have to say
Right.
about these two things? One, blurring of the visions or obstruction by solar panel, and the green wall with no
There,
calculations.
there's actually a lot of work to be done. You're right about that. That's when I think research something that is missing in our country. I would feel if institutions got together and
Yeah,
we have some uh, real engineering brains in the country. If they put their minds together, I do not think this is a problem which cannot be solved. And you know, anything that is today seeming as a hindrance, if say the government incentivizes the research, let's
correct.
say two manufacturers start collaborating with each other and working on it together instead of treating each other as competitors. You never know, when you're joining your forces, this can be definitely achieved. If someone's trying to do this in an isolated fashion, definitely it's going to take much longer to get past these blockages.
Correct.
And of course, music perception, I totally get what you're saying. Just convincing somebody about the solar heat insulation that we are talking about. The concept itself is not something that people are very, I would say, familiar or convinced about, because it's not affecting them. The whole problem is it's not affecting you. It's affecting the environment, and people are still not as I would say conscious about it. It's a
Correct.
buzzword.
I'll give you a very straightforward example. People come here and they want to use a double glass, but they are not aware where a double glass should be used, why it should be used. And I ask them, it's an expensive glass than a single glass. So, yes, because everyone is putting it, they want it.
Yes.
All they have is, okay, there's a noise reduction, there is heat insulation, but not knowing how much it would be a return on investment for them to actually use the product for that matter. So I would say that
Right.
yes, I mean, when you talk about a very, I would say, advanced subject as using all these things combined, I mean, more than design and more than probably what a single manufacturer can do, you are right. There needs to be a very, I would say, large collaborative effort by all the stakeholders to bring on board some kind of, I would say, calculations, or I would say handbook for the
Hmm.
customer to easily understand what's the difference vis-a-vis the money he's spending. Because again, someone who has money is not, in India especially, is not hesitant of spending it till the time
Hmm.
he knows that what he is spending and which for what spec is he spending. But if he does not have that confidence, he feels that he is being fooled. That's a very common thing. Even when we go out to shop, if we don't know our specifications, we will feel that we are being fooled, so I don't want to even spend even if I have the budget. So yeah, I think a collaborative effort would be the good thing to do. So anyways, I mean, I think we've talked more than required on this question, so I'll move on to the next question. So what's more important as per you, whether a green manufacturing process or a green manufactured product?
Uh, we're talking about the process and product. I think separating the two is very difficult, right? There's a thin line. But
So I'll
if
okay.
I had,
Just,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I'll elaborate it. Where am I coming from? Let's take an example
yeah.
when we talk about Indian Green Building Council and we want certified buildings. So I
Hmm.
came across one of the buildings in which we had to quote for or pitch for. And
Hmm.
when I read the I mean, obviously, just to prepare ourselves, we read the entire green building code in terms of its application to fenestration systems. So we got to
Hmm.
know that if aluminium used in the window system or the fenestration system is made from recycled aluminium, you would get points for it. But if it is made from virgin aluminium and you may say that the product is recyclable, which is kind of being in the future, it doesn't get points for it. So most of the points get, I would say, accumulated because of the efficient glazing that you are using, or you end
Hmm.
up using a thermal break product in aluminium or a UPVC product. So that is where this question comes from in a way that what is more important, the manufacturing process, wherein the aluminium, I mean, I'm taking an example of my trade, should be recycled, which is being used in the window system, or a window which is a green product because it's recyclable. Now, in a UPVC window, it's not recyclable in a way. So that's where the confusion arose. So we just wanted to have your opinion about it.
I, in fact, had the same comparison in mind, talking about
Mhm.
UPVC and aluminum, because
Mhm.
they are they have two different properties when it comes to the manufacturing and the product side of it. When we're
Yeah,
talking about manufacturing, aluminum consumes much more
yeah,
energy. UPVC
correct.
consumes lesser energy.
Yes,
But when we come to the recycling capability, UPVC can be recycled only 10 times, and
correct.
aluminium is infinitely recyclable. So
Yes,
there is that argument that what is your preference? What are you giving more weightage to? So I would think manufacturing. Why? Because that is the source. That is where the whole energy cycle starts off. The
correct.
guarantee of getting onto the other side, and then the fact that somebody will recycle it, and you starting off another energy cycle. So I feel we're talking about step two and step three. Here, if we're
Correct.
talking about the first step itself, and if your processes, your manufacturing processes are using, I mean, I don't know if green hydrogen is part of the process, quite
Mhm.
frankly, but if you're using processes which inherently are again using renewable energy, again that's an added advantage. So there's a guarantee that we have saved energy right at the source.
Correct. Yeah, I am with you
Yeah.
on that, which obviously brings down to the fact why the IGBC is designed like that, wherein they're saying they want to promote products which are already made from recyclable material as against something which is, a fresh, I mean, or let's say a virgin product. So I think probably
Mhm.
that's it. Okay, then how do we go about achieving a balance? Why? Because obviously there is a date. I mean, when you talk about fenestrations, the options that we have, there is always going to be a debate between UPVC, aluminium, wood. Now, when I talk about wood, obviously in wood, you every day then you are destroying the energy cycle. So how do you balance all three? Now, as of now, what my experience is that two things are what get basically the market gets driven by two things. Number one, obviously the aesthetics. Now that the customer says I find wood more warm, the architect will say, okay, fine, let's go with wood. But at the end of the day, the energy cycle there is, I would say top in the list of more, I would say, damage. And so more of the decisions get taken by either the price points or the aesthetics. So how do we achieve a balance in all that? Is there a bottom line? No,
So
this should not be used or this should be used.
so I again feel that see, first is I feel awareness, because people should know what they're choosing and what is the impact of it. If they're already
Right.
aware, if your job is done, you don't have to explain to them why a certain choice will make sense for the environment or even for themselves. I think the selling point is always better when it is savings for themselves. As a
Correct.
customer, that's always going to do better. Uh, Expecting them to be as environmentally conscious as somebody who's, producing this it doesn't really work in the practical scenario. But yeah, I think the key here would be horizontal collaboration. What I call horizontal collaboration would be people again getting together and doing joint research. Okay, if you're doing joint research and coming up, say, a hybrid product that combines the best of what UPVC does and the best of what aluminum has, maybe that is the future. Maybe that is what uh, is the answer to all of this, because then there is a win-win situation. Then you're not talking about manufacturing a product, you're talking about a holistic integrated solution with a material which does exactly what it combines the advantages of all these existing solutions. Even UPVC came up with that thought. So when there is more and more refinement, I'm sure we will crack that, and that will be cracked only when it is enforced. I feel,
Yeah.
because
So
even
either
when
it is enforced or it is either it is enforced, but you know what? Again, sadly, our government standards division is not very
Mhm.
progressive. I mean, till date, frankly, we do not have a standard for fenestration systems. The standard that we have is more or less to do with the carpentry-based model and
Yeah,
not the engineering or let's say the system-based model. And
right.
the aluminium associations as well as some UPVC associations have got together to work with the government to actually get around standard in place for fenestration systems. So that is one
Mhm.
aspect of it, but obviously the government is going to work at its own pace as it does. And but yes, I do agree that there has to be a widespread collaboration between. I mean, if I have to talk about ourselves, manufacturers, maybe with architect colleges, because you know what, every architect, a practicing architect, normally with if not having such a, I would say, keen interest to do research work, because he has
Mhm.
to run his practice as well, will not be
Right.
interested. So I would say that companies to get engaged with I would say engineering colleges as well as architectural colleges and form a team to probably,
Mhm.
give hand them projects to get something out of it with a very clear objective of what we are looking at. I think that would be a better approach to kind of take, I suppose, because then
Agree.
those college students can obviously make it a part of their own project to kind of take it along in terms of their resumes or whatever it is, and maybe experiences going forward. Yeah, okay, so
I've got that.
that's what probably. Yeah,
I've
that's
got
all
that
that.
in. We've had conversations, and of course, it takes time to materialize. There has to be something more concrete to give it direction. We've taken steps, but yeah, again, when forces are, joining, it definitely
Mhm.
it becomes a catalyst for this going forward.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hope for the best going forward. Let's do whatever best is in our hands to do, and I mean, obviously, big things get done with small initiatives. So let's move
Right.
on to our next question. So, although we've probably spoken about a lot about it, but what are the green choices that you feel that the fenestration industry can make? Obviously, one I've got from you is that probably focus on more, I would say, products which are already recycled. I mean, again. And what are
Mhm.
the other choices you think that the fenestration industry can make?
So, if we had to just look at all the components of a fenestration system, quite obviously the primary components are your glass and your frame,
Yes.
and then your secondary components, which would be your films, your coating, and the spacers in between these primary components. That means between two glass frames or
Glass.
between two frames, whatever your connecting members are.
Correct.
So if I talk about the primary components, which is the glass, there's already tinted glass, low emissivity glass, and there's doubly glazed units. So that is something that people are already aware of, and it is being used. But if, like we said, if we combine these photovoltaic panels, which we again spoke about, definitely the scope increases. The scope
Hmm.
of saving increases because the end user can see it for themselves. In fact, let's say if we have to go one step further and look at electromagnetic glass. A lot of
Correct.
people, electromagnetic glass people or switchable glass people are using only for some sections. They use it in a bathroom where they want it to be either clear or frosted whenever needed. But imagine if you started doing this for your facades, where your tint levels are changing as per the time of the day, and you were to somehow generate the energy used for this also out of some renewable equipment. I mean that would be a choice that people can really make. But again, the application of this is, I would say, limited because of the budget constraints. Today,
Correct.
PV vehicles are becoming affordable because the entire ecosystem is working on making it affordable. But if the same thing was done for something like that, why would it not work? I mean, it
Correct.
may have been out of reach at one time to get these, to drive a vehicle without fuel. We're doing that. So then why can't this work? And why can't it be made more uh, within the reach of the final customer?
Common customer. Yeah, I agree with you. Probably it all boils down to, research and getting collaborations with doing collaborations with probably other industry stakeholders, I believe.
Yeah. Even with the frames, in fact, I think we spoke about actually your UPVC frame. We spoke about aluminum ones. There's also fiberglass frames people are using with with insulation within them, foam within the
Correct.
cavity to
Yes.
prevent the air leaks, because eventually air leaks is where the whole
Where the
story begins.
transfer happens. Yeah.
Heat comes in,
Yeah, I know.
air conditioning.
Yeah, you're very right in that, but yes, it's only the price points as of now which are not in access. I mean, still the market is, I would say, in fenestration. I would say we are still in the initial years, although it has been 10, 12 years since companies have come in, maybe more than 15 years, but it's still not a very, very well penetrated market in terms of, for the common man to afford. So it's mostly 500 square yards or let's say 300 square yard houses to start with at the end of the day. Otherwise, they use those unengineered local aluminum systems, which are not good for probably in terms of their, I would say, weather performances. But yeah, so I think it
Mhm.
will be time, and I think we have enough time to even build some bit of research at our end as well. So
Correct.
okay, now, so I'll move on to my next question now. So how can the green fenestration systems impact the AEC industry?
Uh, See, with the AEC industry, again, I feel if you just look at research, yeah, about, they say 13% of your air leaks in a house are from your windows.
Correct.
So the whole cycle starts there. Because there's air leaks, you have air conditioning. Because there's air conditioning, greenhouse is going up. Greenhouse gases
Hmm.
emission is going up. Now, if we are supposed to control this entire loop, let's look at the opportunity that windows offer. If I take a typical building in Bombay, okay, so it's a 10-story building with an average 1,500 square foot footprint. The fenestration of this building is 4 to 5 times the floor plate.
The
That
yeah.
means for a 1,500 square feet floor plate, you have 6,000 square feet of fenestration. Now,
Correct.
that is real opportunity. If we are not harnessed, if we are using it purely as just a source of light and we're not doing anything else with it, that I feel is lost opportunity. So if the AEC industry chooses to focus on this, that means even construction professionals, they, a construction company should probably have a sustainability consultant in house. Like
Hmm.
that is going to be the need of the hour maybe not today. I know 10 years down the line it will be. But you can start off. Maybe you can consult somebody on a bi-weekly basis or just project basis. At least start off that whole conversation. And again, if here also the government plays a big role, the IGBT plays a big role. Till we do not get these three components, which is incentivizing, enforcement, and penalizing, I feel sorry to say, but a lot of India operates that way. You penalize somebody, they're left with no option, and then they'll do.
Yeah.
Incentivizing and penalizing works the best. Conscience is expecting someone to have a conscience and do something is just hoping for, I don't know. I wouldn't say the impossible, but it's a lot to ask.
Frankly, everyone has their own priorities. So sometimes the conscience gets kind of overstepped by the immediate priority in hand. It may be anything.
Right. No, even we would be guilty of that. I mean, I personally also am. We don't always make choices that we necessarily want to make, right? But yeah, if that intent is there, at least that intent needs to be there. Then next things can flow.
Sure. So that's very well said. Okay, we're moving on to the end of our session. So, I mean, obviously, the last question is to do with sustainability. So, what all probably you would advise, I would say, the viewers on the sustainability quotient. I mean, this can be anything related to architecture, fenestration, etc. So, what are the steps you think that as an individual, either from the industry or not from the industry, can take to make the future a more sustainable future?
I think a lot of it starts in the thoughts, in the ideation, because you've thought about it, because I've thought about it. Today we are having dialogue. We're having a dialogue, and maybe somewhere somebody who's looking to collaborate with someone like us hears this and it leads to something else. So I would say first spread awareness. Spread awareness. So that's the seed. That's the seed. Because without that, the product is also not going to be, even if you come up with a solution, it will not be accepted till it's something that people understand well. So I would say just spread that message. And I would like to talk about what is not being done and really can be done. We have to talk about something that seems out of our reach today. So we spoke about capturing the heat, capturing the light from the glass surfaces. But what about capturing sound? What about capturing sound? Like India is the noise capital of the world, I should say. All our processions happening. There's all the drums beating and windows vibrating. What if we harness that sound and did something out of it? Or what if you installed glasses in gymnasiums where the equipment is generating electricity, and that electricity makes the glass switchable, because all our gyms are in dense areas where other buildings are looking onto the gymnasiums and people are uncomfortable. In Bombay, you don't have isolated gyms, very few of them. So you have an area for application, it serves the purpose. So start off with that, and people are working towards saving energy. They're working out and they're generating energy. So if you're looking at combining all these different aspects and doing something out of it, I feel it gets more involvement of. There's more involvement of the people. And when you're involved,
sure. I mean, but sorry. Yeah, please go on.
I said when you're involved with something, you understand it better. You put in more effort towards it, and your awareness automatically, awareness levels go up.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that. I mean, for most of our viewers, today's session was more of a techie session, and
Yes.
probably they'll have to go through it a couple of times to kind of get a hands on it. But yes, I mean, it was a great session for me as a personal, I would say, awareness that you gave me about how architects think about sustainability. And I must say that previously I've always talked about the basic aspects of lighting, ventilation, and noise reduction when we've talked about fenestration. So this is the first time we took up the topic of, the green fenestration and what all we can do. And I think I was pretty satisfied with the kind of interaction I had with you. So it was a pleasure to have you with us, Sandeep. Thank you very much for being with us today, and with all our, I would say, intentions to host you in Chandigarh, would love to meet you either in Bombay or here, whensoever you would want us to be with you. And any last words on today's topic?
No, I'm actually glad that you all took up this topic because it's a conversation. Like, see, sustainability has become a buzzword today, so people are
Correct.
catching on to the whole the term itself, understanding it better. But what we've done here is, you know, it's a targeted discussion of a particular industry. So what it does is it gives definition. It gives definition that uh, our industry is a big contributor to all the this energy consumption cycle that is happening. It's the biggest contributor. So there's no better area to start off uh, uh, in terms of making an impact than the construction industry. And I'm glad that you thought of us and got us involved in this conversation. And hopefully, my message to people would be that hopefully people reach out to each other. If you're thinking about sustainability in isolated pockets, I think it's important to reach out to other people who are speaking the same language. Today, you're speaking a
Correct.
language, I do. We are understanding each other. So until that happens, there is never going to be a next step. So I think that's
Correct.
very important. What you started is exactly that conversation.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Looking forward to see you in future.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.